Come back to clean that bathtub, you say, woo! I didn't know I was that messed up. Look where the Lord done brought me from. Soul looks back and wonder how I made it over. By the grace. See, when it comes to the word of God, you got to get in that word. You have to abide in it and let it abide in you. Then you can ask. Look at your neighbor and say, take a bath. That's why Ephesians says, get rid of bitterness, get rid of anger, get rid of malice, forgive one another, be kind. If you went home after this service and you walked in your house and there was a foul odor, you'd make that face, and then you would spray. And then after you sprayed, you would try to find out where it's coming from. So you could get it out the house. Because you don't know who's going to stop by and you want them to stay. But if it's a foul odor in there, they ain't going to stay long. You're going to find out what's coming. And then once you find out what it is, you're going to put it in there. You're going to put it at the house. And then you're going to spray some more. The Lord said, Bailey, that's what you need to do when folks start cutting up in my house. He said, drop the S off of spray. Pray. Hello, somebody. When they start cutting up, you got to pray. When mom and daddy get to cutting up, you got to pray. In the choir, you got to pray. You got to pray. Hello, somebody. And then you got to find what it is that's causing that mess and take it out so you can be glad. Hello, somebody. The house must have been right for David to say, I was. When they sat under me, let's go. I got clothes. But Pastor, I found out not everybody going to get right. Not everybody in the house going to get right. I said, Lord, what do you do? Because you know everybody ain't going to get right in the house. Some folk, they just specialize in mess. That's just who they just messy. They ain't going to get right. You can't change them. What do you do? Because you can't change people. What do you do? And then I was watching that Febreze commercial. They sprayed down a grimy environment, a messy environment. They sprayed it down. I mean, they sprayed the filth mess down real good. And then they blindfolded a person. And they brought him into that messy environment that had been sprayed down with Febreze. And then they asked him, now where are you? And they said, oh, feels like I'm in a bed of roses. Feels like I'm in a clean laundry room, clean clothes around me. And then they took the blindfold off and saw what it was. And, oh. And they couldn't believe where they were. But see, it had been sprayed down. Y'all ain't praying with me. And see, when you know you got messy folk in the church, you got to come pray down the pews. You got to pray down the choir stand. So then when the sinner come in, God will blind them to the mess that's all around them. He'll blind them. unity is life-giving. It said, it is as if the dew of Hermon were falling on Mount Zion. For there the Lord bestows his blessing, even life forevermore. You got to know something about Mount Hermon. It was the highest mountain in Israel. The moisture would come down that mountain, would flow into the rivulets and the streams, eventually into the Jordan River. That Jordan River ran north and south, irrigating and bringing life to the land. Everything around the Jordan River is beautiful because it has an inlet from the Galilean Sea and it has an outlet to the Dead Sea. And because it receives and gives, everything around it lives. No wonder Jesus was baptized in that river, because he said, I'm come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. Yeah, that river is life-giving. So it is with unity. Unity gives life. Can I get it? Jesus prayed in John 17, Father, I want them to be one, so the world will believe that you sent me. Yeah, which means if they are not one, the world is not going to believe that you sent me. Can I get a witness? If they are not one, souls will not be saved. If they are not one, people won't give their life to me. Can I get a witness? We gotta be one, so the world will believe in Jesus. Can I get a witness? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's time to come together. Yeah, people can talk about the church all they want, but really they owe the church. If it wasn't for the church, we wouldn't have a president, Barack Obama. If it wasn't for the church, we wouldn't be able to vote. If it wasn't for the church, we would still be sitting in the back of the bus. If it wasn't from the church, we would still have color on water fountains and color on restaurants. It was the church that came together. It was the church that marched on Washington. It was the church that got bitten by police dogs. It was the church that got sprayed with water hoses, but they kept on marching. It was a preacher that stood up on Washington and said, I have a dream that one day my 4 children will live in a nation where they won't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. It was a preacher that stood up on Washington and said, I have a dream that one day justice will run down like water, righteousness like a mighty stream, and all flesh is going to see it together. Somebody here ought to say, thank God for the church. Thank God. I said, thank God. Thank God for the church. Ain't God all right? right. Jesus gave his life from the church. And one of these old days, one of these old days, Gabriel's gonna come down. He's gonna put one foot on land, the other one on sea. He's gonna raise his hand and swear that time shall be no more. One of these days, 4 apocalyptic horses are gonna break loose in the sky. One horse will be red, one horse will be black, one horse will be pale, but there's gonna be another rider. On his right thigh is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Right on King Jesus in that great getting up morning. Fare ye well. Do you know who is coming for? He's coming for a church without spot or wrinkle. Ain't it all right? Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, Jesus is getting us ready for that great day. Great day. Great day. Walk together, children. Don't you get tired. There's a great camp meeting on the